Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Adam Burke from BangTheBook.com coming to you with my Wednesday weekend look ahead. I'm going to take a look at some situational spots in the NHL, college basketball, and briefly mention NASCAR here at the end of this video. Unfortunately, the Tuesday 3-pack with a pretty big setback yesterday, going 0-3. Some very uncharacteristic performances from some teams. Those things are going to happen, but obviously very disappointed with Tuesday's showing. We'll try to bounce back tomorrow with the Thursday 3-pack. Over at BangTheBook.com, lots of great stuff on a daily basis. You already know about all of it if you've been watching our videos here. If you haven't, make sure you head over to BangTheBook.com. Check out Kyle Hunter's daily college basketball picks, Parker Michaels' daily NHL picks. Got golf preview up here for the Genesis Open, Daytona 500 preview written already as well. And I'll be covering Xfinity Series events as we go throughout the NASCAR season. Daily NBA content. My Major League Baseball content will start rolling out here a little bit later this month. So a lot of good things going on over at BangTheBook.com right now. When it comes to Bang the Book Radio, you can find the segments right here on our YouTube page. You can also find them on Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Spotify. You can find full broadcasts of Bang the Book Radio on iTunes and over at BangTheBook.com as well. But those segments a little bit better audio quality, edited for volume, and also any other audio or technical issues that do arise. So definitely make sure that you're checking out those Bang the Book Radio segments. Good show coming your way on Wednesday here. I'm recording this video Wednesday morning. Kyle Hunter will join me to chat the SWAC and also some regression candidates and some games for the rest of this week. And I'll also talk some college hoops and some golf with Wes Reynolds. So make sure you listen to those two segments right here on our Bang the Book YouTube page. All right, let's take a look at the weekend coming up here, our Wednesday weekend look ahead. We start in the NHL because there is no NBA. The All-Star break here this weekend. A lot of teams start the All-Star break after tonight's games. I think 6 or 8 teams start the All-Star break after tomorrow night's games. So no NBA here this weekend to worry about. So with that, we'll take a look at the NHL, college hoops, and real briefly talk about the Daytona 500. As far as the NHL market goes, not a whole lot of great situational spots this weekend either. You had teams coming off of bye weeks or the All-Star break here over the last couple of weeks. Now it's just pretty much business as usual. But we do have some spots in the NHL that you want to circle here coming up this weekend. We start Saturday afternoon. The Calgary Flames taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. 3 games in 4.5 days for Calgary with this Saturday day game. They play in Tampa Bay last night, lost that game 6-3. Play the Panthers tomorrow night. Then they'll come up to Pittsburgh and play the Penguins before heading home to resume play on Monday. So early start time here for Calgary, a long way from home in the Eastern time zone. Not the most difficult of spots by any means, but anytime you get a team that's not from the Eastern time zone, playing one of those afternoon start times can be a little bit tricky, especially against the Pittsburgh team with 2 days off. And rested angles, definitely pretty strong in the NHL. Unless you're talking about a significant amount of rest, like 3+ days. You're talking about a couple days rest against a day or back-to-back. Generally, a very good betting angle for you when it comes to the NHL. Also on Saturday, Vancouver Canucks take on the San Jose Sharks. 3rd game in 4 nights on the California swing for Vancouver. So an obvious situational spot there, though of course it's better than an Eastern Conference team going and playing out there on the left coast. But the Sharks with 2 days off prior to this game. So 3rd game in 4 days for the Canucks, 2 days off for the Sharks. Obviously a much better situational spot there for San Jose. However, these two teams just played on Monday. San Jose rolling over Vancouver up in British Columbia by a 7-2 score. So you got a road revenge angle here for the Canucks. Maybe it leads to a little bit of a look-ahead spot on Thursday night perhaps. So maybe that's something you want to look to incorporate. But as far as this weekend spot goes, the Canucks are facing a rested team, but they do have road revenge on the mind. Sabres versus Devils as we transition over to Sunday here. Devils playing their 8th game in 13 days in this one. Sabres a little bit more rested than that. Obviously, Buffalo, a very inconsistent team, had that good winning streak to start the season. Then they've been pretty average to below average ever since then. They got overpriced in the marketplace with that early run that they went on. We'll see what they're priced like on Sunday. But again, New Jersey playing a lot of games in a short amount of time. 8 games in 13 days is quite a bit, even with that bye week here recently. So maybe Buffalo, a decent road look on Sunday. A better look on Sunday, the Minnesota Wild. They take on the St. Louis Blues here. Wild in some very good situational spots this week. And in fact, every Sunday night at BangTheBook.com, you can check out my situational betting spots for the week in both the NBA and the NHL. Talked about Minnesota with some good spots here this week, as I mentioned. They've got one on Sunday, taking on a Blues team, playing its third road game in 3.5 days, fourth road game in 5.5 days, back-to-back day games here. Played Saturday in Denver, Sunday in the Twin Cities area. So very tough stretch here for the St. Louis Blues. Minnesota in a good spot there on Sunday. You will have to lay a little bit of a number. My guess here is in the minus 160, minus 165 range. But I do think Minnesota would be a good look there on Sunday afternoon. Finally, in the NHL, the Flyers and the Red Wings. These teams play a back-to-back home-and-home Saturday, Sunday. Much like we saw with St. Louis and Nashville last weekend, the Blues did win both of those games. Both of them one-goal games that required extra time. We'll see what happens here with this one, but Saturday's game, 1 o'clock start time in Philadelphia. Sunday's game, a 7 p.m. start time in Detroit. So not your traditional back-to-back, not that bad at all. Philadelphia gets in with plenty of time for that Sunday night game, but obviously the rapid revenge theory would be in play here. You want to look for overreactions to that first game. And, of course, the home-and-home thing in the NBA has been very profitable, taking the team that loses the first game. Maybe that winds up being the case here with Philadelphia and Detroit. I did not have a chance to backtest that for home-and-homes here this season in the NHL. But in any event, obviously, you lose on the road, you want to get revenge right away at home. If you lose at home, you want to get revenge right away on the road. So see what happens with Saturday's game and then react accordingly to Sunday's game. All right, we move over to the college basketball side of things here. We start on Saturday with Clemson versus Louisville. This is a very obvious situational spot here for a lot of different reasons. Louisville, with that epic collapse last night against Duke, had Duke on the ropes, up 23 with about 6 and change left to go. Find a way to lose that game by a bucket. Chris Mack's team played such a good first half. Kind of rested on their laurels a little bit in the second half. Used some timeouts when they probably shouldn't have. Now you've got Louisville looking to bounce back against a pretty decent Clemson team. We talked on Tuesday's edition of Bang the Book Radio with Rolf Michaels about the middle of the pack in the ACC, including a team like Clemson. Pesky defensive team, good enough offensively. Very tough spot here for Louisville, who is not only coming off of that Duke loss, but also over the weekend lost in overtime to Florida State. So very, very tough spot for the Cardinals. We'll see if Chris Mack can get his team ready to go in this one. But obviously Clemson, situationally, probably a pretty good look in that game. How about in the Horizon League here? Detroit Mercy. They play Milwaukee on Thursday night at 7 o'clock Central Time. They'll play Green Bay at noon Central Time on Saturday. Of course, formerly known as Wisconsin-Milwaukee and Wisconsin-Green Bay. But for Green Bay here, 8th in the country according to KenPom in adjusted tempo. So Detroit Mercy with a very quick turnaround here. Not that it's a far road trip, not that it's that long of a drive from Milwaukee to Green Bay, but still, you go from playing that Thursday night game to playing the early Saturday game against a team that absolutely wants to run the floor. Tricky little spot for the Titans there. Maybe one that you want to look at on Saturday in the Horizon League. Transition back to the ACC here to talk about Duke. Duke with road wins over Virginia and Louisville. Now they host North Carolina State here this weekend. NC State, obviously a very inconsistent team, as we know. A decent offensive team, but then they had that 24-point performance against Virginia Tech. The tough thing about this spot here for Duke is the back-to-back road wins over two top teams. Then you get NC State. Then next Wednesday, week from today, Duke plays North Carolina in one of the two rivalry games during the regular season. So could be a very, very tricky spot for the Blue Devils on Saturday. They'll be laying a healthy number against an NC State team that people aren't real sure of. So that may be one that you want to look out for here on Saturday. Tennessee and Kentucky play on Saturday. Don't need any superfluous buildup for this game. Matchup of two top 5 teams. One thing I will point out here is that the teams do play again on March 2nd. So they'll see each other again very, very soon. I think it's the third to last conference game for both of those teams in the SEC. So they will see each other again quickly. I think that you want to circle that March 2nd game in light of what happens here on Saturday. Move out to the wiggity whack to talk Utah Valley and Texas Rio Grande Valley. UTRGV gave us a nice winner last Thursday in the Thursday 3-pack. They're in an interesting spot here as well. They got blown out by 21 when they played at Utah Valley earlier on this season. Utah Valley coming off of playing New Mexico State, the top dog here in the WAC. Could be an interesting spot for Rio Grande Valley. They should be a slight home dog in this situation, I would think. So maybe you look to take them plus the points. Maybe sprinkle the money line a little bit on the Vaqueros as well, who are looking for revenge after getting blown out earlier this season. And again, coming off of playing New Mexico State can be a tough thing for teams here. So you'll want to be very careful with Utah Valley on Saturday. Arizona State and Arizona doing the altitude double here this week. Arizona State playing Wednesday, Saturday. Arizona playing Thursday, Sunday. So not as bad as we traditionally see with that altitude double when the teams usually play Thursday, Saturday. So not as much of an angle there with the Arizona traveling partners going to the altitude to Boulder and Salt Lake City. Real quickly, want to mention the Daytona 500 here as the NASCAR season officially gets underway. Last week we saw the Advanced Auto Parts Clash. Did talk a little bit of NASCAR with Brian Blessing on Tuesday's edition of Bang the Book Radio, so feel free to check that out. But I did want to mention here about this race. Obviously, if you're a NASCAR fan, you already know this, but these restrictor plate races are very difficult handicaps. 2.5-mile track there in Daytona. Restrictor plates also used on the super speedway at Talladega. Very high variance, a lot of wrecks. Got some new teams and some new drivers. If you do want to dabble on the Daytona 500, the Great American Race here, look for consistency. Look for teams that have the same crew chief, the same driver. This is not the kind of race where you want to be experimenting or going through that feeling out process. So, I have my preview over at BangTheBook.com. As I mentioned, I'll be doing the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series here this season for NASCAR. But, keep it light. Stick with, continuity here this weekend. Like somebody like Denny Hamlin, obviously, who races very well at Daytona, is somebody that you want to have on your radar in that 9.5, 10-1 range. But you want to take some long shots here in this event as well. Somebody like a Kyle Larson, maybe, who in both Xfinity Series races at Daytona last year led the most laps. Now, Xfinity and Cup Series, obviously a lot different, but seeing Kyle Larson in the 30-1 range for this race this weekend, hey, you want to take some shots here with an event where we haven't had any repeat winners this decade. So throw some darts around the board here for the Daytona 500. Enjoy the race. Enjoy everything going on here this weekend with these situational spots or otherwise. I'm Adam Burke for BangTheBook.com.